Combos are commonly called out by casual players as being negative for the format. But I've always found that strange, because they seemingly fit fine in the ideal Commander game. Think about how you imagine a mid-power bracket 3 game should go. Everyone spends multiple turns ramping and building up their boards, trading interaction until someone pushes for a win with a big finisher or gets a lot of advantage. But sometimes the ideal game gets disrupted. Let's say with a Voltron deck. They suit up the commander enough that it can take out one player every turn. They swing in and completely destroy one person. And oops, after that, someone had removal. So now we're all in this awkward spot where one player got knocked out early and they just have to sit and wait for the game to end, which could last a while longer. This doesn't really happen with combos. When a combo happens, the game is usually over, and in the rare cases where it's not, the game will usually end within a turn later. No player is sitting out waiting for the game to end. Another thing players say about combos is they come out of nowhere and are not part of the normal build-up for a casual commander game. But this is only true for the fastest and most powerful combos out there, which, yeah, those are not appropriate for mid-power EDH. But you could say the same about a lot of other powerful cards or finishers. If you are playing a combo that requires many pieces, high-cost cards, and uses on-board pieces rather than a purely instant and sorcery combo, then your combo's power level should be fine for a mid-powered EDH game. You will, over the course of multiple turns, play your pieces and draw into more of them until it results in a win. It's really not that much different than playing token generator, Anthem. Both of these just build up to a situation where I win unless somebody has instant speed interaction, and it comes out of nowhere in the same way. The way to beat this is to predict ahead of time. Well, they have X amount of tokens, a finisher like this could end the game. Well, they have X combo pieces in play, so the final combo piece could end the game. Plus, there are many signs before a combo deck actually pops off. It's just different than literally putting more power on board. Casting a tutor, cantrip, or card draw without committing anything to board probably means they're setting up for something, likely a combo. And those examples are beyond the more obvious version of telegraphing a combo by literally playing one piece at a time. Let's talk a little bit more about interaction. How do you stop large anthems and big boards? Usually the best way to do so is a board wipe. How else will you clear away a big board? Spot removal isn't going to work, unless you can counter the actual overrun finisher effect, but that's mostly limited to blue. So if you're not playing blue, what are you going to do? And wraths are some of the things that slow down commander games the most. We've all had one of those games. Wrath 1 happens, resetting most players. Wrath 2 happens, stopping the person who rebuilt, and then Wrath 3 pushes the game into overtime. But if everyone was playing combos, wraths would be less necessary, since spot removal can actually stop the win, and then you can stop the win without resetting your board and everyone else's. It lets you continue to develop your game plan without slowing the whole game down as much and still prevent your opponent from winning. You get less of these games that just drag on. Also, many players don't like attacking early because they don't want to make enemies or take one person out early, or maybe you just aren't familiar enough with the game to make the correct decision of who to focus down first. Hint, it's the Simic player. But with combos, you don't gotta worry about that. Just do your game plan, no need to decide who to attack or make mad, play your little value dudes and go. Also, when your deck has different damage-based win cons, it can be a little difficult to accurately match power levels. Is this Perforos token game plan stronger than this Spellslinger burn plan? I don't know, it's a bit tricky to tell. But with combos, since they all effectively do infinite damage, you can match power levels more easily. Compare your main combo to someone else's. If they have the same number of pieces, take about the same amount of mana to cast, and you have the same amount of redundant pieces, it's very likely that your decks are close in power level. Also, combos work with so many other themes. Clone decks, zombie decks, self-mill decks, reanimator, treasure, and a billion others. You can build any goofy theme you want and have it lead into a combo. You don't need to sacrifice flavor. A zombie mad scientist theme deck can still do rooftop storm loops. That's an on-theme way to win. Players sometimes complain that combos invalidate the game, like your decisions beforehand didn't matter. because the combo just won, but I completely disagree. Your decision to use spot removal earlier in the game affects the combo later on. Your choice to attack one player over the combo player and knock them out affects whether or not they win with the combo. Your choice to cast a board wipe against the aggro player instead of shaking hands and teaming up on the person who's done nothing but draw cards and cast tutors all game affects the game. The combo deck operates on a different axis, but is still something you have agency over and can interact with. Now, after all that, you might look at my decks and expect to see combos galore. But outside of a pretty jank one in my Mina and Den list, I almost never play combos, which might cause you to like and subscribe, or say, why doesn't he play combos if he made this whole video about why they're great? And the reason is, I don't usually like cards that definitively end the game. It's the same reason I don't play any big overrun effects in most of my decks, and rely on chip damage to win. Outside of the funny calendar, but I really love just throwing a bomb at my opponents. It's pretty funny. Personally, I like those long, grindy 5 board wipe games where people are slowly taken out, which I understand isn't for everybody. But that's why I build my decks in a specific way. Ultimately, I want to talk about different ways to build decks. A lot of players fall into this default commander deck mindset, where you ramp on turns 2 and 3, play synergy creatures, and then wait around until either a wrath happens or finisher happens. And that's it. The vast majority of commander decks that I run into in the wild basically all do exactly this. This is especially prevalent with new players. And I think as a community, EDH players are often told to steer clear of combos, storm, mill, or some other wacky non-mid-range theme. And a lot of players sort of lock themselves into that creature mid-range lane. And I don't like it. I think it leads to worse magic. Here's an example. I've heard from multiple people with different playgroups I've met over the years that said their playgroup had to ban this specific card because it was unbeatable and it would completely halt the entire game. You might think I'm about to reveal Humility or Moat or some other stacks piece maybe, but no, it's Archfiend of Ifnir. Additionally, most of the time when a player tells me that a deck was particularly unfun, they usually describe something that has a removal engine. It's some multi-card pile that puts together a way to blow up creatures. And these are described to me as if it's some sort of unbeatable doomsday engine that just completely ruins the game for the entire table 100% of the time. And I find this kind of silly. Is there nobody in your playgroup that plays a deck which wins without creatures? No Spellslinger, no Enchantress, no combo. There isn't a single control deck that can take advantage of the lack of creatures and outvalue the Doomsday Engine late game? Of course, insert obligatory play more removal argument here, but also, part of this is that players are really stuck with this default commander mid-range creature pile deck. You play the 4-drop into the 5-drop into the 6-drop and you just wait and wait till the finisher happens. So something that wraths the board every turn is just unbeatable. It's like playing scissors into a rock main. You just can't beat that. But what if someone at the table was playing paper? Well, now things get interesting. Board control decks are really good against creature piles, but weak to decks that don't care about creatures on board. And those decks that don't care about creatures are weak to the creature piles that pressure life totals. This sort of advanced rock, paper, scissors dynamic is a key part to a lot of games, including Magic. Magic was never designed to be all creatures all the time. Richard Garfield even said so once. I love casual Commander. I just feel like it sometimes loses out on that rock, paper, scissors gameplay because of the overabundance of creature mid-range decks. Now, I would never say you shouldn't play a creature deck. That would make me a complete hypocrite. But I encourage you to try something different. So I want to suggest a few commanders that I think make for interesting builds that are somewhat different than the standard creature mid-range deck, which all make good shells for a potential combo finish. First off is a commander that I really might build for myself because Dai-Chan Artful Beauty is a sweet commander. She lets you tap to destroy any creature you want, and also any creature an opponent wants. So using politics, this is 2 removal spells. Or if you give your commander Shroud/Indestructible, it can't be targeted or destroyed with its own effect, meaning it's just tap destroy a creature. The key to playing a deck like this is playing creatures your opponents don't want to destroy or can't destroy. So you want to fill your deck with either very little creatures or indestructible ones like Brash Taunter. Speaking of which, that is a great finisher here. You can play a Brash Taunter style burn combo deck in your Daichan list. Ratchet Field Mechanic is a card that one of my patrons used in a game on stream, which was a ton of fun. Basically, you use artifacts that you sacrifice to gain life, allowing you to flip the commander around a bunch and get value from it. Plus, your commander usually dodges sorcery speed removal, since it's not a creature when flipped on your opponent's turn. Then you can use life gain alternative win cons or any artifact combo in your non-creature artifact deck to win. Lastly, I'll suggest a mono green deck. Initially, you might think, doesn't mono green have to be creature focused? But that's not always true. Ronos the Indomitable is a very unique card. It's a creature which naturally has Death Touch and Indestructible, which means fight spells are basically hard removal with no downside. So you can load up on these fight spells and play mono green Spellslinger, with cards like Sphinx Bone Wand, Primal Amulet, and Chaos Wand as support pieces. There are so many different ways to build commander decks. You could make a career out of video essays about each niche way to build a deck. And I think players often put themselves in a box when making their list, which I feel makes Commander worse. I think if you lean too heavily on creatures and everybody is playing creature piles, it can get exploited, and then, yeah, it'll feel unfun because it'll be one-sided when there's no table dynamic to be had other than their deck is good against everyone else's. It's part of the reason I love playing decks that don't care about creatures. I'm just playing a different game than everybody else. So I would suggest you should try out some combo decks, some non-creature decks, and maybe you'll have fun creating a new dynamic at the table. You really won't know until you try. Thanks for watching. If you want to join the Patreon to be in the credits here, check out the link in the description below. Special thanks to all my patrons for supporting me. I really appreciate it.